search of the wily Filipino. We have seen the slit-eyed dangerous Jap. We have seen the wily Filipino. Marlon Brando discussing movies on Larry King Live. The wily Filipino. How often have I gone to bed at night with that phrase echoing through my head? And yet recently I became aware that I had never actually seen one. I had driven through Filipino neighborhoods, but everyone and everything I saw was rather straightforward. Signs signifying this or that, the dry cleaning, the auto repair, all seemingly innocuous, but probably hiding the true guile that lurks underneath. I wondered exactly under what circumstances the wiliness would come out. I have worked with a Filipino for several years, and I decided to try a little test. I asked her what she would do if she saw a traffic accident and someone were wandering around looking dazed. "I would stop and help, I suppose," she said. "Why?" I said. "To get something?" She looked at me and retorted, "What would you do? Call for help and wait for someone to show up?" I realized she was invoking the stereotype of the benign and polite wasp. I was so angry that it made me want to cough loudly and say, "Ahem." I decided to rent movies where I might examine the portrayal of the Filipino. I looked at The Godfather, 2001, and Gone with the Wind. There was not one depiction of a wily Filipino. Why? Perhaps the movie industry is secretly run by Filipinos. Perhaps it is they who have been the hidden hand behind such films as The Logical Filipino, The Straight-Up Guy from Manila, and the adventure film Deep in Wily Laos. And if that were true, wouldn't it demonstrate unquestionable guile? A friend of mine told me about a sensational Filipino acupuncturist, and I tried to make an appointment. "What seems to be the problem?" a deceptively pleasant voice asked on the other end of the line. I hadn't quite worked out this part of the plan, and I hung up. 30 seconds later, the phone rang. There was no one there. I thought nothing of it, then soon realized the craft and mechanics at work. Caller ID. The wily Filipino had called me back with caller ID and now had my number. Fearing reprisal, I dialed them back and booked an appointment. I entered the office and sat in the waiting lounge. Waiting for what, I thought. Probably waiting to be outfoxed one way or another. The assistant asked me to fill out a form. She cleverly slid the sheet toward me and artfully offered me a pen. I filled it out as I listened to the coded dialogue that went on in the office. Common inquiries about the weather were no longer empty pleasantries. They were complexly structured sentences in which the first letters of every word combined to spell out my mother's maiden name. Once in the office, I started using words with the doctor and his nurse that were uniquely American. Words like cahoots. I wanted to see their reaction. I got none. Well, one. A look so wily, I shuddered. Then this exchange happened. "It says here you want treatment for parvo." "Yes," I countered. This game was rough. "Parvo is a dog disease." The lake of perspiration on my forehead instantly beaded into a map of Michigan. "Yes," I replied. "I am worried that my dog may have it." "So you're here for anxiety? You want me to treat you for worry?" This was not just idle sparring between two worthy foes. This was a coded chess play of words, a dazzling display of cunning. The needles went in, 4 in my ears, 3 in my scalp. Some were twisted by hand. Some had electric currents sent through them. 10 minutes later they were removed, and I felt remarkable calm. The tables had been turned. The wily, crafty Filipino had allayed my anxiety, and now I was indebted to him. He had won. I had anticipated some form of wiles, but never suspected it would be at this level of sophistication. I returned home and turned on the TV. Marlon was still speaking on Larry King Live. The luckless Italian, the furtive Chilean, the horny Hawaiian, the pungent Norwegian, the strict Eskimo, the loud-talking Canadian. "We're running out of time," said Larry, and the show came to a close. I needed to get away. I packed my bags and booked a ticket on Wily, the official Filipino airline, and flew to Hawaii.